legislation is all about fitting the glove to the facts of a particular case, and every fact situation cannot be pre-anticipated when the law is being passed. Given this, it is very clear that lawmaking is and should be, and necessarily everywhere is, a very technical and a very difficult exercise. In that difficult exercise, not everybody is equally equipped, because not everybody has the same experience or the same expertise in Parliament. I think this is where the role of PRS is extremely important. There are a large number of MPs cutting across party lines, some of whom may be expert in a particular area, but they may be dealing with bills or speaking on matters where they are not necessarily expert. I think there the nuance of a provision, the implications of it going this way or that way, are very well brought out. Even better brought out, of course, to a specific query from an MP, but even in the general briefs and the dockets which PRS circulates, even there I find a great degree of precision and clarity. And I think that inevitably is a great benefit ultimately to the quality of law we make. It is, of course, a fiction to suggest that the legislature so intended. There is no single intent. There are disparate views, and it is true that in the British parliamentary model, unlike the US model, the legislation comes not from the MP, not from the individual, but from the party which is the executive in power. That is the fundamental difference between the US and the French models on the one hand and the British model on the other. And therefore, in a sense, MPs making law is a bit of a fiction. But having said that, nevertheless, MPs have brought to bear frequently extremely important inputs and nuances to a legislation which the executive thought was perfect when it was introduced. And therein lies the relevance of bodies like PRS, which have helped MPs to make those constructive inputs and to make those changes. In the ultimate analysis, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and nothing is better than a personal experience. Let me tell you about how I have benefited, because I did not know about PRS till a couple of years ago. I started using them, and quite frankly, without exaggeration, I am quite amazed at the quality, the speed and the efficiency of the service. I do juggle, I jokingly always say, at least 3 mistresses: Parliament, spokespersonship in the media, and the legal profession. And therefore, one always wishes that there were 28 to 38 hours and not 24 hours. In that scenario, preparation is always at the last minute. And whenever I am stuck for a particular nitty-gritty piece of information, the organization has responded to my emails within hours, sometimes in less than that. The questions are after I have formulated my own thoughts in my mind, and therefore there is a certain amount of detail, nitty-gritty and focus when I put the question. And nevertheless, in a short time, the response has been one of great promptitude and normally either hitting the bullseye to my query or giving me a close approximation to what I want. I have had the privilege of opening the debate for the Treasury benches in almost all the 8 major debates since I joined the Rajya Sabha. And I now regret that I did not use PRS in the first 2 or 3 debates. But in the last 4 odd ones, whenever I have asked them for information, I have been most impressed. I think it's a remarkable service, and it becomes even more remarkable when one realizes that it's completely free of cost. I think it should remain that. But equally, I believe that civil society, legislative society, the executive must think of creating some kind of a financial support system for bodies like this, because these are sincere people, they are hardworking, and they are not in it for commerce or profit, both of which they could have had in greater abundance in the more greener pastures which they have left to come back to India. It is a pity that such services are not available at the state legislature level. And obviously, that is the next zone of expansion for PRS, for Madhukar and for his dedicated team. But such expansions do require support systems, and in addition to the support they have now from other NGOs, both Indian and foreign, I think a great much more is required to be done in that regard. In addition to these specific queries where I have found them most useful, it does frequently happen that even when there is no major debate, one is rushing into Parliament and something relatively unknown like the Seeds Bill. It is very useful at that time to see their summaries either in hard copy, or at least to me they have been kind enough to send in soft copies. And I think it puts at a glance the pros and the cons. It puts at a glance a summary of the essential features, and it's not merely the bare text but the arguments for and against. And I think that's extremely useful even for an impromptu intervention. I think the real hallmark is the objectivity with which they do it. Even if they put a point of view, and it's important to put a point of view which is for the bill or against the bill or critical of the bill or supportive of the bill, one knows that it is not done with any motivation. There is no political angle to it, and therefore having got the different views on a point of view, you are left to your own to decide how you want to use it. And I think that's the way it should be. It doesn't matter whether the query comes to them from the BJP or the Congress or a regional party. They are there to state objective facts, or beyond that, opinion, which no doubt is their subjective opinion, but it is still based on an objective view of the facts. I think that is the most useful part of analysis.